You don't have to be in a perfectly balanced, meditative, calm, spiritual state. If you're coming in and you're feeling creatively blocked, you don't even know where to start with this, or you're feeling stuck, good. So if you've ever asked the universe for a sign or for an answer, and all you got was crickets, I feel you, me too, but before you go run to ChatGPT, before you look at that angel number on the back of a license plate and run with it, what if I told you that the answer is quite literally already in your hands? It could already be in your portfolio. If you are an artist, you are quite literally sitting on a gold mine, on a way to access and channel answers from the universe, from your intuition, from your inner guidance, from your higher self. And I'm going to help you and give you some ideas and practices and inspiration on how you can actively do that. You probably already have been doing it, is the good part. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is, you aren't waiting on an answer from spirit. You aren't waiting for spirit or the universe or source or God or your guides to show up. They are waiting on you, okay? Before we start, I'm cleansing the space with Luz. So, I want to talk about a creative practice that I use and have used to navigate, many things in life, and to manifest and to cultivate my ideal state of being and frequency. And what I like to call it is intuitive art or flow state art. I did not create this concept. I'm just explaining how I use it. Okay, but I like to call it intuitive art or flow state art. If you're an artist, you've probably already done this before or heard of it. It can also be a form of like freestyling, but it's basically when you just kind of let the art piece create itself, let it emerge itself. You don't really impose any expectations on it. You don't really go in with a plan. You just are like, I'm going to create something. And I looked up a definition of flow state, and it's defined as a mental state in which a person is completely focused on and engaged in a task or activity. And you can do this with like your creative practice when you're creating something, but this is also a way of life. I feel like a mindset, a state of being for manifestation too. When you use art to get you into this state, it brings you fully back to the present. It helps you drown out all of the noise. That way you can hear source, your guides, the universe, God, whomever you're asking for direction from, your inner self. You can hear yourself better when you do this. When you find a way to drown out all the noise, to silence those voices in your head, your inner critic, and to come back to the present. This practice is so easy to do. You can't do this wrong. There are kind of no rules to it, because I feel like every piece you make, whether you set an intention, whether you have a specific vision or not, you had that specific vision put in your head for a reason. Whatever came out for a reason. And I feel like you're always illustrating iterations of your subconscious, of whatever is in the back of your mind, whatever you've seen, whatever you've witnessed, whatever you've internalized. Like, you're illustrating your internal state of being, or a thought or an emotion or whatever it is. You're taking something internal, a feeling, an emotion, a sensation, and you're making it so that you can observe it, so that you can witness it, and you can learn even more from it when you can do that. There are like 2 different ways you can do this. You can go in, create a piece with absolutely no expectations. I've done this a few times, and just let your subconscious come through. And the good thing about this is, likely, whether you're conscious of it or not, you probably already have a question in the back of your head, something weighing on you in the back of your mind, something in your subconscious that wants to be resurfaced, wants to be worked through, a limiting belief, something in the back of your mind that is going to come up when you create a piece, either way. And spirit and source and guides and energy is everywhere. So, whatever room you're in, whatever frequency you're attuned to in that moment, in that period of time, is going to come through too. So that's why every piece is like no other. So let me show you some pieces. This one is one of my favorite ones. And it was one of those magical moments where I just started creating, and I was using a new medium, and I just suddenly knew how to use that medium. This is also one. Before I show you more examples, every time you start an art piece, you are setting an intention, either consciously or you're setting an intention with your energy, the state that you're in, your subconscious, right? But you can also do this consciously. If you're looking for a specific answer, a specific sensation or direction, or an answer to a question, or a sign, which you likely are if you clicked on this video, you can do this intentionally. And so I want you to set an intention for where you want your guidance to come from and what you want your guidance on, okay? So what you want your guidance on, and then where you want it to come from. Do you want it to come from your higher self? Do you want it to come from a spirit guide? Do you want it to come straight from source, straight from the universe? Do you want it to come from God? Do you want it to come from your inner state, from your emotions, from your subconscious? Like, you can set an intention as to what you want to tap into, like where you want to get your answers from. Or you could just let it be completely free. Whichever you think will best serve you in the moment will give you the best answer. I recommend starting with just going in with no intentions to resist imposing any personal things or expectations onto the piece, because you can set an intention and still avoid imposing expectations, but that can be hard for people sometimes. Don't force anything. The only way to kind of not get the most out of this practice is if you force something, if you force an answer. And you have to use your discernment with this, because it's like if you have a specific image or you're really drawn to a specific color or something, that intuitive nudge is there for a reason. Trust it, listen to it. That's not you forcing it. But if you have like a question and you have a specific type of answer you want in your head that you want, that might be forcing it. And you try and channel that answer into your piece, that might be forcing it. It depends. You have to use your discernment. But the good thing is, you don't have to be in a perfectly balanced, meditative, calm, spiritual state. If you're coming in and you're feeling creatively blocked, you don't even know where to start with this, you don't even feel like you're a creative person, or you're talented enough, or you don't know how to execute your ideas, or you're feeling stuck, good. You can still learn something from that state. That can, even if you create something, you know, you're like, I don't know what this is, I'm not happy with this, come back to that piece later, okay? This, you know, you may create a piece and you may not understand it right away, but when you come back to it later, I promise you, it will make so much sense. Let me show you some examples. So all these pieces, the ones I just showed you and these ones I'm going to show you. This one, this one. These were all pieces that I didn't really set an intention for. I have one more too. This one. And this one. They were all created, you know, with that intuitive art where I started a piece really with no expectations. I just started drawing. A lot of these I didn't sketch anything first. I just started drawing. I think this is the only one I sketched something for. The only intention I set for this one was to draw a self-portrait, and all of these other kind of surrealist elements came out. But looking back on all these pieces, they all were a reflection of my internal state. For example, for this one, I had just partaken. And I was in a period of creation where I was birthing a lot of my ideas, feeling very feminine, very like I was blossoming, very unapologetic. And so I think this embodies definitely the herbal essence I use for guidance. If you know, you know. You know, YouTube got some rules. And yeah, this one, I was going through kind of like a heartbreak, like situation when I was like 18, and some other things. And so this is what came out. Same with this one. Like, it really just represented what was going on in my subconscious. With this one, it's kind of odd, but I was trying to understand why partaking made my art so trippy. Like, it just made it easier to create for me. And you know, if you look closely, this piece kind of gives an answer to that, and it's kind of what I'm talking about in this video. This one was less of an internal state and more of a download directly from source. I just started drawing, and this is a message about starseeds, about collective consciousness. I call it the Cosmic Council. Which brings me to my next point about what I said: when certain ideas pop up in your head or images, that could be your sign, that could be your answer. And when you draw it, you can view it, you can observe it and get more answers from it and analyze it and come back to it later. So I was at this like museum, and there was this dome, and they had like this projection about space, and they said something about we are star stuff, and that sparked something in my brain, and I had these images about stars and, you know, cosmic stuff in my mind for the longest. And so I drew this. This was one of those instances where I had something very specific in mind. You know, that thought, that image was put there for a reason. You know, that phrase stood out to me for a reason. Now, you can also set an intention with the setting that you create, with where you go when you create. I created this when I was in the forest, and I like to call it a forest spirit. And so I was getting guidance from the forest, nature. Very wise. Trees are very wise. This one this was after I was on some magic enhancers. And I had this question in the back of my mind. I wasn't asking this when I created this. I didn't know this when I drew this. But looking back, I didn't have a stage name yet. And this is how I came up with my stage name, FAERIE, and it's titled The Birth of Fairy, you know? So I'm going to use some examples of when I had questions I didn't even know I had, or that were just in the back of my mind, and I randomly got answers. And when looking back on this work down the line. This one, I still haven't fully decoded yet. I drew this when I was in Bali, though, so I think it reflects a lot of the spiritual, tranquil, magical feelings that I felt when I was there. I don't really know what it's trying to say, though, yet. You can also set an intention or get answers with the type of medium you're using. For example, if you are using clay, I did ceramics, and I make ceramic sculptures like this. And for some reason, I feel like, I'll show you some pictures and examples, I tend to create things that tap into more ancient wisdom. And I feel like it's because clay is earth, quite literally, and it combines all four elements with water, with wet clay, and with air, with the drying process, and with fire, with the kiln. So I think it's just a very spiritual, guidance-inducing medium. I created this series I called Old Souls. I had this image of a flower face in my head, and then I just started creating these things. It just grew from there. I don't know how, and it became this series, and I didn't know what it meant when I created it, but looking back, it is like the ancient wisdom of the four elements, and the four elements, and like four ancient wisdoms: the sun, the moon, the earth, and the ancestor. Which kind of resonates with what I just said about clay and how it holds memory, essentially, because it's made from the earth, and I just think that's so cool. Anyways, I'm rambling now because this is my special interest, but another way to get guidance or get an answer is to set the tone or intention or tap into a specific energy with a color using monochromatic art. I have a lot of monochromatic art. I'll show this one for spooky season. But I still haven't decoded this that much. But I have synesthesia. And I think this is inspired by that song, I put a spell on you because you're mine. It was like a prompt for art class. I made this a while ago. But I also have some other monochromatic art like this one. And this is when I was tapping into sadness, wisdom, fluidity, growth. So, yeah, those are some ideas and ways that I've been doing it. If this resonated with you and you are drawn to using art as a spiritual tool and as a mode of transformation and manifestation, and you want to learn more about using it to heal and to grow in for other ways, I have a whole ebook called Art as Alchemy, where I just wrote everything about using art for manifestation, for healing, for visualization, for everything. If you would like help cultivating this space, setting an intention, I am hosting a workshop. It's going to be super powerful when we do it with a collective, and I'll help guide you through if you feel creatively blocked or you have something, heavy in the back of your mind weighing you down. Bring it to the workshop and we'll be sculpting using clay. I'll teach you how to sculpt a face, but also allow freedom for, not imposing anything on it, allowing anything you want to come through. So you can also join the workshop if that spoke to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. That is all from your fairy god guide, fairy god friend, Fairy. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you feel called to, please subscribe. I would love to have you here. That is all. Bye.